A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, a legendary Sith Lord was born from the ashes of the defeated, disgraced, young Anakin Skywalker. Star Wars villain Darth Vader is arguably the most famous bad guy in film history. But how well do you really know the one-time Jedi who became the dark side's most powerful asset? Here's the untold story of Darth Vader. It took 5 men to play Vader. The name most commonly associated with Darth Vader is James Earl Jones, who provided the menacing villain with his trademark baritone voice. But that's not Jones inside the suit. Instead, the more physically imposing David Prowse wore the armor most of the time, with fencer Bob Anderson standing in for the lightsaber duels. And that iconic moment when he takes his helmet off in Return of the Jedi? That's the pasty face of veteran stage actor Sebastian Shaw. Oh, and one more guy also contributed to the performance, sound artist Ben Burt, who created Vader's trademark panting with a microphone and a scuba tank regulator. The voice was a secret. His voice work may be iconic now, but back in the day the participation of James Earl Jones was such a closely guarded secret, even the cast didn't know he was playing Darth Vader. So it came as a really big surprise to David Prowse, the guy inside the suit, when he learned his voice wasn't going to be used after all. He was ticked off, but George Lucas had a pretty good reason for making the switch. As Prowse's voice work was so pedestrian, Carrie Fisher called him Darth Farmer.
Start tearing this ship apart piece by piece until you find those tapes. Find the passengers of this vessel. I want them alive!
And Jones kept a secret for a long time. Not only was he not credited on A New Hope or The Empire Strikes Back, but he straight up denied that it was his voice in the movies, telling anyone who asked that he thought it was the work of Bond villain and 7-Up spokesman Jeffrey Holder.
Whatever it is that makes 7-Up so refreshingly different that other soft drinks never had it. Ha ha ha. Never will.
Orson Welles almost played Vader. While James Earl Jones eventually fessed up to providing the voice of Darth Vader, there was a point in time where someone else was considered for the role instead, Orson Welles.
Ah, the French champagne.
In 2015, George Lucas revealed that he auditioned 2 people for the role, but once the tapes were in, the decision pretty much made itself, saying, "I knew the voice had to be very, very special, and I had to make a choice that was a tough choice, but an easy choice. Really, between Orson Welles and James Earl Jones. Jones won. Good thing too, considering Welles died in 1985, while Jones has been able to come back to voice Darth Vader again and again for years."
I have one thing to say to people like you. I like Star Wars too!
Vader's helmet was an afterthought. It's hard to believe, but the iconic black helmet Darth Vader wears throughout the series wasn't even in the original script, which simply called for a little respirator instead. It was artist Ralph McQuarrie who originally devised the helmet, which he intended to be part of a spacesuit, but the painting was so striking that costume designer John Marlowe ran with it, incorporating elements of traditional samurai armor and Nazi helmets from World War II. He has his own castle. If you've seen Rogue One, you might have been surprised when the film suddenly took an unexpected detour into Mordor. But that wasn't Barad-dûr, it was actually Bast Castle, Darth Vader's secret getaway. Sort of like an evil fortress of solitude. Bast Castle has actually appeared before in video games, and concept art has been floating around since the late 70s, with Ralph McQuarrie's designs originally slated to appear in Empire Strikes Back. There was one minor change in Rogue One though. The location of Bast Castle has seemingly been moved from the acid rain planet of Vajun to the lava-drenched doomscape of Mustafar, where Anakin had his legs lopped off by Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're guessing real estate prices were reasonable. Darth Vader's true identity was an off-script secret. At this point, there's probably not a single human being on Earth who doesn't know Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's dad.
Wow, what an ending! Who'd have thought Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father?
Thank you, Mr. Blow the Picture for me.
But when The Empire Strikes Back came out, Vader's famous revelation was shocking, and one of the best-kept secrets in the history of cinema.
No, I am your father.
Knowing that the real line was going to be overdubbed in post-production anyways by James Earl Jones, George Lucas wrote a fake line into the script to make sure there was no spoilers. When David Prowse read his line in the climactic scene, what he actually said was, "Obi-Wan killed your father."
When I first saw the dialogue that said, "Luke, I am your father," I said to myself, he's lying.
The only person in the scene who actually knew the truth was Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker, and even he was only told minutes beforehand so he could react with the appropriate level of anguish.
No. It's not true. That's impossible.
The name is a clue, or is it? According to Lucas, the name Darth Vader has a secret meaning. Darth is a variation of dark, and Vader is a variation of father, so it's basically Dark Father. That seems like it might be a clue to the big secret that Vader would actually turn out to be Luke's dad. But skeptics have pointed out that the whole Vader is Anakin thing wasn't added to the storyline until well into the writing process for The Empire Strikes Back, years after Vader was first named. So is Lucas full of it? Or did the name just turn out to be a happy coincidence? You be the judge. Vader may have been swiped from Jack Kirby. Luke isn't the only member of the Skywalker family whose parentage may hold a shocking secret. In a case of art imitating life, it turns out that Darth Vader's real father might not be George Lucas at all, but rather legendary comic book creator Jack Kirby. According to the book Tales to Astonish, during a fateful dinner meeting in the early 1970s, Kirby told Lucas about a massive space opera he was planning called The New Gods, which features a helmeted villain named Darkseid facing off against a champion of light named Orion, who turns out to be Darkseid's own son and who struggles to overcome his family's legacy of evil. Sound familiar? According to Ahmet Zappa, Kirby was none too pleased with Star Wars, feeling that Lucas had mined not just the New Gods for inspiration, but all of Kirby's work. He told my dad stuff like, Darth Vader was Doctor Doom and the Force is the source and that George Lucas ripped him off. Well, you know what they say, if you're gonna steal from the best. Vader had an apprentice. It may come as a surprise to learn that Darth Vader himself had an apprentice, given that the Sith supposedly follow a really stupid rule limiting them to only 2 members at a time. Not to mention the fact there has been no mention of Vader having an apprentice in any of the live-action films. But there's a simple explanation. She was his apprentice before he became a bad guy, and also she's from the cartoons. Fans of Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebel know, of course, that we're talking about Ahsoka Tano. Nobody knows exactly what Ahsoka's final fate is, but considering she was thrown out of the Jedi Order before the Purge, it's possible she may still be alive even in present continuity. Could we see her pop up in Episode 8? Considering the Clone Wars character Saw Gerrera played a major role in Rogue One, we wouldn't bet against it. Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel, plus check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.